Welcome to the Your Limitless Leadership Podcast with Jenny and Brent Widman. Here, we believe leadership isn't just about titles. It's about how you show up in every aspect of life. Whether you're leading a business, building a legacy as an entrepreneur, guiding your family, or striving to lead yourself first, this podcast is for you. Join us as we dive into real conversations about growth, decision-making, and the courage it takes to lead with purpose. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and equipped to become the limitless leader you are meant to be. This is Your Limitless Leadership Podcast. Let's lead without limits. Welcome to Your Limitless Leadership Podcast. And today I just have a really special, a really good person, really special person. And you may not know this, but well, obviously you know that we met years ago, but it's funny. I hear your name a lot and you come up a lot with just conversations. Like we were just talking about coffees and lunches and what have you. And it's when people say your name, when they say Mick White, like this smile comes across their face. And the way that you touch people and impact people, and you did that for me just in a random lunch that we had years ago. I still see your stuff on LinkedIn or see it out. And every time I see that, I smile because of who you are as a person and just the things that you do for people. And I know you probably know some of that, but then there's people like me that we didn't talk for quite a while. And then randomly I see you at this meeting. I'm like, I wonder how he's doing. But I think about that from time to time because you just touched that. So I'm going to give you
Yeah.
this is Mick White, just a fantastic person just across the board. He's been in the financial world. He's started different companies. And we're going to speak to that because it's not always easy. And I love that you painted that picture a little bit because you are if I can say it, you're a single dad
Mhm.
and you have an 11-year-old. Like
Yeah.
I'm not a single dad and I have an 11-year-old. So I know how that can be for sure. So thank you for being
Yeah.
on here, bud. I truly
Yeah.
appreciate it.
I don't know that I've been on, how many podcasts over the years. I've never cried on one until now. And I'm touched. And part of it is part of my story is my mom. So I got engaged May 2011 and my mom died very suddenly the next month, June 13th, 2011. And so I was at the highest, happiest I've ever been. And then just mom had an accidental overdose of aspirin. And so she just died, right? Like life happens. And I was on a Monday. Her visitation was 3 days later. And my mom, she loved the color orange. You can see some of the orange in my background now, things that I bought her over the years and I kept. But my mom didn't go to my mom didn't go to college. She and dad got married in high school. And there's usually only one reason why you get married in high school, right?
For
Like
sure.
my oldest sister was on the way. And my mom, she didn't know who the president was. There's stories of her and I having conversations about banana Twinkies, having real bananas in them, and just like salt of the earth, but not necessarily like this worldly influencer, as we would
Yeah.
call today. Like, didn't have LinkedIn. She thought Facebook was on her computer. So if you commented on somebody's post and she didn't like it on her computer, she would unfriend you because she didn't want it on her computer. I'm like, Mom, it's not on your computer. It is. When I open it up, it's there. I'm like, you're right. Just unfriend your granddaughter once again, kind of stuff.
Oh,
But my mom, like 3 days after she died, her visitation was 7 hours long. And it was just people who showed up and they all wore the color orange. Like my mom, like her car was orange. Her email address was like the orange lady. Like mom loved the color orange. And I think part of it was because it filled her with some joy that maybe she, some childhood challenges she had, that orange was a vibrant color for her. And so they all showed up and I'm like, who in the world are all these people? Like, 7 hours is a lot of people for my mom.
yeah.
Like, my mom's just my mom, right? Like, I didn't know, but their stories were all the same where they were, "Your mom loved me. Your mom made a blanket for me when I this. Your mom would give me a ride home from the AA meeting. Your mom, we played junior high volleyball together." And I'm like, "My mom did not play junior high volleyball." And she's like, "Oh, we did. Like we were on it." I'm like, all these people with this outpouring of, um, my mom was very simple, but if she had some sort of mission statement, it would have been love everybody, like always. Like that just simple.
Wow.
She just loved people. And so I think part of her legacy that hopefully I live on in my own legacy or mission statement in life is to live a life that outlives me and to have an impact, hopefully, on people that when they think of me or they talk about me, and what if they smile? What if they just, I they think of a moment that we had together. Maybe it was 20, 30 years ago. How many friends that you haven't seen in 40 years? I'm old enough to have friends I haven't seen in 40 years. Then
Mhm.
I'm like, man, Billy Kalen was my best friend in fourth grade. And I've seen him once in 25 years. But every now and then I'll text him something that reminds me of him. My family still talks about him when when we get together for family function and stuff. So anyway, I think that's just really I want to do good in a meaningful way, but it's not about me. Right? Like I want people's lives to be better, the world to be better because Mick White lived in it. And so kind of my story, quickly in childhood, my dad is still, he's 75 now.
Okay.
Since I was 6 years old, has been in the life insurance industry. And I didn't realize how much that impacted me. And my mom worked for him for 18 years. So mom would read the obituaries as just a normal thing in small town America, small
Yes.
rural. And
Yep.
so did the rest of the family. We just
Mhm.
and family members and church members and neighbors and clients. And so I had this awareness early on that we're not guaranteed a tomorrow. And there was a balance of that plus, um, we went to church, but my dad didn't force us to go to church. He taught Sunday school and we went kind of, but he lived it out. Mom and dad lived out their faith every day in who they were. And so I had this kind of perspective, even I think as a kid of, um, we're not guaranteed tomorrow, but eternity, and there's a bigger calling for all of us, which is a really healthy way to get diagnosed with anxiety when you're 40. It's like I had anxiety when I was a kid because some of these things were floating around in my head. But just always this desire of, like with my mom and my dad. My dad too is a community builder in his own way. Of I mean, he's more of a disruptor than my mom was, and my mom was definitely like love everybody, invite them over for dinner. My dad is the guy who, if he comes to visit and we're walking down the street and there's someone, on the corner asking for money, he starts talking to them and, like, I'm like, "Dad, they just give them $1 or get help them. You don't need to know, like, where they were born." Like, he's just, like, doing this, like, they're gonna be best friends. He's like, "I found him on Facebook." I'm like, "Dad, you can't just go around finding everybody on Facebook." Anyway, so I had that kinda growing up, and then the other part of me that people will say, they'll ask me the question, "Are you the baby of the family?"
Hmm.
And it's kinda like you and I's, knowing each other, but not knowing each other, and I'm like, "I am? What do you
Same
mean by
here.
that?" Like,
Yep.
what is coming off here that projects that I am the baby that I'm the proud baby of the family, like, I'm 50 years old, and I'm still my sisters still send me messages that they're looking out for me. But, so that kinda went through it all, and then I college to be a high school history teacher. Both my sisters teach elementary school, and I never felt that that's where I was supposed to be, and so I started in my dad's insurance office, right out of college in rural Illinois, and nobody told me that I wasn't supposed to be successful. My dad said to me when I first got started, 21 years old, he's like, if you're going to be in my office, you're going to qualify for the All American trip. I didn't know that 21-year-olds don't qualify for these trips. I
Huh.
didn't know that I was 20 years younger than anybody else that qualified for these trips. But dad's expectation was, and then
Love
my
that.
my my, my confidence was also, if my dad can do it, certainly I can do it if my dad
Yeah.
can, right? Like you look at your parents sometimes, like my dad's brilliant at what he does. I look at now, but at that time I didn't know. And so qualified for the trip, won the awards, kind of thing. And then the next year, I felt guilty about my success. And because I
Ooh.
made more money than both my sisters did combined in rural Illinois, I bought a house, got a car, got a dog, whatever, went to Home Depot on the weekends. And I was 23 and I'm like, well, now what? I didn't know how to handle success. And so I made less money because looking back, nobody had the conversation with me to say, Mick, so I made $58,000 in 1997, 1998, which was a fortune for a
For sure.
21-year-old kid when my house cost 80,000. Like this was,
Yep.
I'm living high on the hog. And nobody said, well, Mick, if you're comfortable at 50,000, but you're capable of making 100,000 or 200,000, you could give it away. You don't have to wait until you're 80 or 90 years old to help people. If you are capable of this, you could really have an impact when you're 22, not when you're 80. And it took me a long time. Actually, I read a book when the summer my mom died about that of like, pick a number that you're comfortable making. And then, but if you're capable of making more than that, give away the rest.
Hmm.
Like, how crazy would that be when you're 50 years old to be like, I'm good here.
I
This
can
I'm
give.
working for other people. This is my, what if I could give away a $500,000 a year? How cool would that be for the impact, for myself knowing it, for my son to watch that happen? And that's what gets me excited about life. So anyway, ended up in
Um,
the insurance world for a couple decades. Then I had a really heavy marriage, became a single dad to a 10-month-old son, McAllister. And then during that time, I had a friend reach out to me and question how I was showing up for my, soon to be ex-wife or eventual ex-wife. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And I got upset with her. It's first only time I've ever got upset with her. And she's a CEO of a big company out east, and she's a global company. And she's just like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Do you not know who I am?" It was really clear to me what I was supposed to do. If for better, for worse, in sickness and health, the for worse part of the wedding vows for me also includes divorce. Like, how do you show up in divorce? Anybody can show up out of love in a marriage. How do you do that when the other person doesn't love you back the way you want them to love you back? And in sickness and in health also includes more than cancer.
yeah.
What if it's mental health challenges? What if it's other things? How do you show up then? And so the way I showed up, hopefully as healthy as I could for my now ex-wife. And but during that, I became homeless for close to a year. I had my car repossessed in her driveway, which is a whole different level of suck, right? Like I had to go knock on the door and be like, could I borrow the car that I did pay for so I can get home tonight? Because he just took my car anyway. And through it all, I think I got diagnosed with anxiety. Like all these things happened, and it led to me. I got a tattoo, and my mentor was like, "You can't put that on Facebook." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And it's a congruent symbol. You can see it back here. It's congruence is a statement of agreement
Okay.
when two things fit together, and that's just what I want my life. I don't want work life balance. Like you can't balance two things that aren't uh able to put on the same scale. There's life. And then
Wow.
there's things that are part of it. Like work is part of my life. Fatherhood is part of my life. I can't balance life fatherhood. Like what sense does that make? I want my life to agree fatherhood and faith and fitness and work. Like I'm not trying to balance anything. I'm not trying to integrate it. I just want it to all get along. And so I got that tattoo, and my mentor was like, you can't put that on Facebook. Clients, prospects might see it. And I'm like, one, I got the wrong mentor. And two, that was really the point in my life that I went all in on being Mick White. Up until that point, I'm in three-piece suits and French cuffs. And like, I love that. But it was like, this is me. I have a tattoo. If you don't like tattoos, that's okay. I was a people pleaser for 40 years. And I realized there's 8 billion people in the world and not everybody's going to like you.
No,
Like, how many of them do you want to like you? Just be who you are, but be the best version of that person. Doesn't mean go around being a jerk to everybody.
not at all.
They're like, well, that's
No.
their problem. They don't like this. I'm like, no, just step into who are you? And that's a scary question for a lot of people. I know that. And that's kind of how Purpose Fueled then evolved, was because I went through all these things. People kept reaching out to me wanting to have coffee. And so I would just have coffee with everybody. I still couldn't pay my bills. It's still like what I didn't need was a free coffee. What I needed
Yeah.
was like them to at least pay me $5, right? Like I'll meet with you for an hour for $5. That would have been a better deal than adding the coffee onto my anxiety issues to begin with. But I couldn't say no. And then eventually after a while, I'm like, what if we all just got together once a month and had these conversations
Wow.
in community? And that was January 2023. Fast forward to today, we have a couple hundred people showing up, multiple locations, and it just feels like a safe space for people to be brave, a place for people not to be alone, but also a place to be bold and to be able to cry on a podcast in the first 2 minutes of it. And like that's new for me, but I'm not ashamed of it because you touched
No,
my heart. And again, people are either going to be okay with that or they're not. But that's not my responsibility as to whether or not they're okay with it. My responsibility is to be the man and the father and the husband or ex-husband that I was created to be. Like that's my goal in all of this. So I don't know if there's any other questions, but sorry for all of like, here we go. That's it. Like that's who I am.
just the way, I mean, I go back to your parents, and it's I'm sure you see this now, but if you don't see it, it's over here you have dad who pretty much can talk to anybody, but cares about people. He cares
Mhm.
enough about them to talk to the person on the corner or the person that's going to buy a truckload of insurance from him.
Right.
Doesn't matter who that person is. And then over here you have mom, who that you didn't even know how many lives that she touched, and you marry those and look at what they come
Yeah.
up with.
I'm lucky to have the parents that I had. Like we didn't
Yeah.
we didn't have anything financially, but we had a lot of love in our house. And I didn't know we were poor. Right. But I
Oh,
remember the day our van got repossessed outside of the window while we were the dining room window while we were having dinner. I remember watching that happen. But we had love and we had family, and Sundays were family days, and my parents showed up. My dad coached me. I saw all of these things. Who I am today is in large part because of who they are. And I think that's always a fascinating thought of you really want to get to know people, ask them about their parents.
yeah.
Because a lot of times they say, well, Brent, who are you? And you're like, well, I'm this and I'm this and I'm this. I'm like, tell me about your parents. And you're like, well,
Perfect.
either they will tell a sad story or a happy story or something. It's a safe place for people to talk and reveal things about themselves that sometimes they're not able to say about themselves. So Anyway, sorry about that sidetrack, but I appreciate my mom was a beautiful human. My dad um, is still on this mindset of growth and doing better, and he's realized that his mission in life is to be a minister of joy. And why would he retire? Because he gets to live that out more by working. And if he
Does he
didn't work,
enjoy it?
he would. Yeah, he loves it,
Yep.
right? It drives a mile to the office, like small town, the only town he's ever lived in. People he's known for 40, 50, 70 years. Life is great. He will never
I gotta ask,
retire. Yeah.
and I'm going to give you a little bit to process this one, I think, because it's you touched on it, and it's almost the association with making money. And I love what there's two things you said there. And the question is why do we I guess why do we struggle with that? But there's two things you said there as in you grew up not having money, not making money, which almost makes us associate that's just who we are. That's what we should do is we should just give, give, give. But then the flip side, you can make a lot of money and that's okay, but we can also give it at the
Mhm.
same time. Why do you maybe you still do, maybe you don't. Why do you struggle with it or why did you struggle with it making money? I feel like people need to hear that
Yeah.
because that's a real thing that so many
Yeah.
people I struggled with it for years.
Yeah. I think it's really something we don't talk about. And then being in the insurance investment world for years, there's a balance of planning to live to 100. That's important.
If you're listening to this and you're thinking, "Ah, that's me." You're not alone. Let's call it what it is. You've got the drive, you've got the experience, like you have it. You have it. You know what you're doing. But something still feels off at times, or things could be better. We know that they can be. You know, there's more. What we do is we help committed leaders go from guessing and grinding to really leading with clarity and structure and confidence. We're offering complimentary DNA strategy calls. We're going to evaluate how you're leading, where performance might be breaking down. It happens. And what really needs to tighten up within your business, within your leadership, within those people around you. Then we're going to take this next step. And what we're going to do is build accountability, the skills, and the systems to create that consistent or those consistent results around it. If you're open to digging in a little bit, the link is below in the show notes. Just book your DNAcall.com and we will find time for you and we will dig in with you. All right, let's get back to it.
But I don't want to just save money, not spend any of it. And then when I die, my son or my grandkids or something get it. Like,
Mhm.
mom didn't make it to 100. It didn't matter how much money she had or didn't have. And I think for all of us, like the game of Monopoly, it doesn't matter who wins, who loses, um, all the properties and hotels. At the end of the day, everybody's pieces, everybody's property goes back into the box, even the winner.
Wow, that is a really good analogy.
But
Holy cow.
also more arguments happen over the game of Monopoly than any other board game in America. What is supposed to be a fun, we're going to play Monopoly as a
Yeah.
friends and family. I am mad at you because you made that trade with this person and now I'm bankrupt and I'm not talking to you. Like fights break out. Like it's just a game. Like all of this, like I can't take any of this stuff with me. So there is a balance of I want to be a good steward of my time and talent and treasures, but also for what? Like what I really want to do is raise a healthy boy who loves
Mhm.
himself, his family, his God, his community, who serves others and does his best every single day of his life. And if he is a doctor or if he is a barista or an artist or a professional athlete or any of it, I will love him no more or no less. If he has a bazillion dollars or 20, like my measurement of success isn't financial. And I think that is a very American thing that is so ingrained in us. We don't realize that's not the way it is everywhere else. That is the
Oh, we
American
know.
way is the person with the most toys when they die wins. Other countries are like, what do you guys, you Americans are crazy. What are you talking about? And I have like 4 generations living in the same house. We're like, man, I want a single. I want a house with 5 bedrooms. We're like, this is nonsense. So,
That's
so
not
to answer,
normal better.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's our normal, but it is a valid struggle or to point out to like, what do you really want? But our default seems to be as Americans, I want to make a bunch of money, save a bunch of money, have a bunch of stuff, retire early so I can play with these toys. I'm like, man, I don't know if that's me. For one, I don't, I'm never going to stop working. Because for me, my work, I feel like I am helping people.
There you go.
And maybe I just have figured out ways to generate revenue from that. And the more I help people, the more I get paid.
I
But I'm like,
love touched on that.
to me,
Yep.
I want deep, rich relationships. That's what I'm trying to solve for in life. And I wouldn't mind to have a new car every 10 years. That would be okay too.
You took, I gotta, because what you just said there as well, and I hope people hear this, because this is the coffees. Your main thing is just to help people listen to their story, tell your story to make it okay for them to have that story. And you took that and said, there's something here. So that's your superpower, right? Is just listening and talking and vulnerability and letting it be okay for people. And you took that and instead of taking all the time to do that every single day, you said, what if I could bring all these people together? And I feel like that's for so many people, they have a superpower, if you will, or something they're really good at. They just don't know how to turn it into something that then affects other people and then can make money as well, right? Obviously,
Mhm.
that's part of it. But you turned what you're really good at into a business.
Well, and
How did that click? Like, how?
yeah, I'm glad you asked that question because it didn't dawn on me that that was even a superpower,
For
let
sure.
alone my superpower, or that other people aren't able to do that because I'm able to do it. And I think but looking back, there is a thread in my life that I have always been the community builder. Call it what you
Mm,
want. Call it in high school, the one who's like, we're getting together, the plan maker, the sending text messages to people to like, what are we doing this weekend? Inviting people over, kind of that. And so it's always been there. And so I think because it's always been there, it's never been unique to me. I didn't know that was different because that was just me.
just is.
And
Yep.
so and probably, when we met for lunch, like for I've been in Minnesota 20 and a half years. When I first moved here, I started having a lunch because I didn't know anybody. I didn't know I had anxiety. And so going to events was really nerve wracking for me. Shaking hands, hand out business. Being in sales, you would think you have anxiety in sales. I'm like, I found out I created coping mechanisms. And one of them was, what if I had this event called the best lunch ever? And I just invited really good people to this lunch and we just had lunch. And people in the financial services industry were just like, well, when do you pass out the business cards? What do you guys talk about? When do you give your pitch? I'm like, it's just lunch.
This lunch.
Shush. What if you have lunch with really good people and you meet a couple people, I meet a couple people, something good's going to come from it.
Mhm.
And so it's always been this. Where I'm going with this is
I
there's
love
always
that.
been this. I didn't know that was my superpower. I just did it. And I think even the vulnerability or whatever, sharing the story, I'm like, I don't know if that's a superpower. It's just who I am. And I'm not trying to do it for business. I'm not trying to do it for any other reason other than that's me. You ask me how I'm doing. I'm like, this is how I'm doing. Like for better, for worse, like this is it. And just being able to show up not as your authentic self because that's good for LinkedIn, but just to show up because that's who you are. And don't be vulnerable if that's not who you are. Be who you are, whatever that might be. But what I do know is
I love that.
it takes somebody going first. And I'm pretty
Ooh.
good at going first. I'm pretty good at like, hey Brent, you want to do this? And well, it takes somebody saying we're gonna do this. It's like I always think like I will give blood if the Red Cross blood mobile is outside of where we live or where I work. Because it's right there.
Yep.
I love giving blood. Do I do it when I fall off that cycle? Do I reach out and be like, hey, it's been 56 days, time to give blood? Like, no. But it takes somebody organizing that blood drive for other people to participate.
It
And
does. That's a
so
good one.
my thought process behind it is very much an aim, fire, get ready. Is I will say, hey, we're gonna do this. And I'll put a registration link and a like see who's interested. And then if nobody shows up, then you don't have to do it. And if people start saying I'm interested, then you're like, all right, I better get to work.
Do something. Yep.
But I think a lot of people get ready to get ready to
Spot on.
aim, to aim, to aim. And then when they fire and if they miss, they're devastated because of how much time they got ready to get ready. And sometimes it just makes sense to aim, fire, get ready. Like you want to go work out? A lot of people are first thing they do, or me too, sometimes like, I need a new pair of shoes. Right? Like, no, what you need is to go work out. Right? Like, well, I don't know what I'm doing in the gym. Go to the gym, do something. Step one.
Pick up heavy things and put them back down. You'll figure it
Go
out
buy
eventually.
some new clothes. Like that is not a workout. That is not, you're getting ready to get ready.
Spot on.
Go do something. And I think if there's anything in all of this, maybe as a wrapping up this is even to go back to my mom. I've told this story before. I was in 15 years in the insurance world, insurance and investment world. I was in management at this point, and I was at a corporate training, and as you've been to them before, the 2 days, and it's quarterly goals, and building out these plans and all this stuff. And on this second day in the afternoon, the facilitator asked a question. He's like, "What are your 3 personal commitments that you're going to do for the next 13 weeks?"
Okay.
And most of them, I know most people wrote down like, I'm going to lose 5 pounds. I'm going to, read a book. I'm going to pray every day or whatever those things are. And I'm sure 2 of mine were like that. Um, and then one was I was going to call my mom every single day. And, I wrote it that was probably 30 to 35. I wrote it like I was 6. I'm like, I don't want anybody to see this. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't want to be called, it's in the insurance world, it was 20 men, 50 men in the room, and me, I was the youngest. I don't want to say in front of everybody, I'm going to call my mom every day. But that was my commitment. And I called her for every day for 90 days. And then I called her every day again for another 90 days. And I just kept doing that. And then, and my mom answered the phone. She'd be at the movie theater. She's like, hello. I'm like, where are you at? She's like, I'm at the movie theater. I'm like, don't answer the phone at the movie theater. She'd be in the shower. I'm like, Mom, do not. Like, or in an AA meeting, or she'd be sleeping. Like, she answered the phone every single time. And it wasn't always, sometimes it felt like an obligation. Checking the box. I said, this is what I said I was going to do.
That's part of it.
It's part of it. And there were times where I'd be upset by the end of the phone call because I'm human and different things going on. But I called. Looking back, it was always a highlight of her day. It wasn't always a highlight of my day while I was doing it. 623 days in a row, I called her. And then one day she didn't answer the phone. And I knew she had died. Like, I immediately text my sisters, call my sister, like, you got to go check on mom because I think she died. And she wasn't sick. She had an accidental overdose of aspirin, but she didn't answer the phone. And so I think where I'm going with all this is like, it was one commitment I made that really changed everything. It wasn't a big commitment. It wasn't, I'm going to go work out. I'm going to run, you know, compete in triathlons and the Ironman, and I'm going to go conquer the world. It was, I'm going to call my mom every day. And how you do that is one day at a time. And it changed my life. And the reality of just making a commitment for 90 days, something simple, something that you can do, and then just doing it. It's not flashy. It's not exciting. Might be a little embarrassing. I'm going to call my mom. But that commitment changed my life. And I know it changed her life too. So in all of this, like sometimes there's all these big questions of who are you and how do you this, marriaging, doing good and financial success and all these things like, man, sometimes just take some action, make a commitment
Just call your
and then,
mom.
do it. Call your mom, text your dad, text your, reach out to one friend from 20 years ago, send somebody a message, whatever it is, do something for 90 days, go for a walk your dog for a mile, whatever that is, whatever would be a big step
When
for
you
you.
don't feel like it, even when
Yeah.
it might not be. Yep.
Even when it's raining and your dog
Yep.
doesn't want to go, like,
Do
leave
it
the dog
anyway.
at home, you go do it anyway. Like, even
Sometimes
there were days where I'm like, man, I don't want to call my mom. I had a bad day. Or my mom, sometimes she would just talk for 20 minutes. And then she'd be like, okay, well, I got to go. I'm like, all right, mom, good talk. But it was also those conversations where we had arguments about banana Twinkies.
yeah.
And she was a tiny lady, and so I was always trying to get her to eat more. She's like, well, I had a banana Twinkie for breakfast. I'm like, Mom, it's not a healthy breakfast. And she went back and forth. I mean, we went back and forth for 10 minutes about banana Twinkies. She's like, no, they put the bananas in the end. It says it on the box, banana Twinkies. I'm like, oh my gosh, Mom, these aren't real bananas. So finally
But
it was
this
just
was,
like, Mom, just have two of them. That's how I ended the
yeah,
conversation. Just
think about when you go back to talking about it's not always the money and the cars and the house and all the stuff. Sometimes it's just remembering that you called over 600 days straight and talked about banana Twinkies. Because
Twinkies.
if you
Yeah.
wouldn't have written that down in that meeting,
Yeah.
and I wish 20 other dudes would have heard that,
Yeah. Yeah.
because now that you talk about it, Brent's going to hear it, or John, or Bob, or
Yeah. Yeah.
whoever, and they're
Yeah.
going to call their mom,
Yeah.
right?
And so I don't know where it's at here. What she left most, and I have it around my office somewhere, is of all the things my mom items my mom left behind. She left on a little sticky note. She left it says I love you, mom, on a sticky note. And I found it after she died and I got it tattooed on my arm. Like, going back to, like, I don't care if anybody else likes it. I
Doesn't
like it.
matter. Yeah.
And of all the things my mom left behind, most of them we donated, most of them we threw away. I kept this orange cross I got for her when I was in Brazil the day she went into rehab. Um, Other than that, it's a handwritten note that says, "I love you, mom." Like, that's what I miss. That's her legacy to me, is like the way she showed up for people. And hopefully, we can all show up for people. The world is a mess right now. And we can either be part of, like, how can I show up better for myself first and for other people second? Man, clearly the world needs it.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be solved by the government. It's not going to be solved by businesses. It's not going to be solved by churches or anything else. It's solved by real people showing up differently.
Don't wait for other people to do it. Start
It
with
just
you.
what maybe it's just you calling your mom. Maybe that's how you
Yeah,
change the world.
man. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. This is the messages in here. I hope people listen to this and hear the message that you're giving, right? Like, and you're not even trying. You're just telling us the story and the impact it can have on people. They walk out of here and go, I can do those things. I can impact other people and really good things will happen. How do they find purpose driven? How do they show up for that?
Yeah. And I think it's kind of the way I looked at my dad when my dad was qualifying. He was top agent in the insurance industry, like for his company and all that. Like, if my dad could do that, certainly I could do that.
We can
And
do it.
hopefully people listening, like, if
Yeah.
Mick White could do this, people certainly they can do this too, right? Like, it's and none of it
It
is
is that easy. It really is.
it's not I'm not a complicated person.
Mm-mm.
I say that. Like, you ask any probably any woman I've ever dated, they're like, "Wrong answer." My son's mom, wrong answer. But just like, it is simple to do good.
It
How they
is.
can find me, there's on LinkedIn, Mick, M-I-C-K, White like the color, Purpose Fueled. You can either go to
Mm.
purposefueled.community or purposefueled.company. We have 2 different websites for things that we're doing. And, yeah, 1 Friday every month in the Twin Cities. Doors open at 7, the conversations from 7:30 to 8, and, I don't know, you'll either love it or you won't. But
So be it.
hopefully you
Yeah.
go away with something that says that was meaningful for me. So
Thank you.
I
That
appreciate
is,
you, Brent.
yeah, you too, man. Thank you so much for being on here. I truly appreciate it, bud. I
All
really
right.
do. Thanks for joining us on the Your Limitless Leadership Podcast with Jenny and Brent Widman. We hope today's conversation inspired you to think differently about leadership, not just in your career, but in every part of your life. Remember, leadership starts with leading yourself first. It's about taking action, making bold decisions, and showing up with purpose. Now, it's time to take what you've heard today and put it into practice. Whether it's in your business, your community, your family, or your own personal growth, start leading without limits. You have the power to become the leader you're meant to be. Until next time, keep pushing your boundaries and leading with purpose.